Hey, what's going on guys, it's Tilted here, and today, we're going to kind of give you an introduction to Bloons TD Battles. So initially I'm going to actually kind of show you what everything is. So let's start off about Professor Evil. This is the button over here on the left. Professor Evil is a great way for new players to earn medallions while you're completing challenges. Sometimes these challenges can be hard, so if you do get stuck, of course, just have a look at the YouTube tutorial. Okay, moving swiftly onwards, there's quick play up top, as you can see. Now, the only button you really should be concerned with is assault mode, since the other ones are for more maybe later game players. But yeah, there's three different modes usually. There's classic rules, old school, and bonanza. Personally, I recommend classic rules or old school, but yeah, we can get more into that later. Now let's have a look at a major feature of BTD Battles that kind of makes BTD BTD. That's of course the ability to play with your friends, or versus your friends even. So yeah, as you can see there's two buttons here, the create battle and join battle. Let's have a look at the join battle initially. So if your friend sends you a 7-letter code, you can just paste it into here, and then you can join their game. They have to make it, and yeah, you can join it whether you have club or not, as long as they have club when they make it. Let's have a look at create battle now. As you can see there's four options. For the very beginners, we should only look at assault mode here, since all that really matters. Well, that's what you have access to. As you can see, here's the code. You can copy that, paste that, send it to all your friends, and then they can play with that. Just select a map that you like, have a flick through the top, confirm, and choose your towers. Now let's move on to powers and towers. This is where you guys can unlock new towers and new tiers to your existing towers, as well as powers which you can use in game. So let's start with the towers. Here you can see all the towers you'll be able to unlock as you increase your battle score and play on. You initially start with only 5, but you can move on to unlock any of them. Battle score is the green dart at the top of your screen. You can increase your score by playing more games in assault mode and arenas, but you can't actually increase it by playing in friendly matches versus your friends. By clicking the question mark at the top of each tower, you can see what each tower's upgrades do. This can help you develop an understanding of what each of the paths do and help you develop a bit of game knowledge, so ensure that you read up on this. Now let's quickly have a look at powers. As you can see, there's powers here. You can unlock new wacky powers by playing and unlocking power XP, which you can just buy them with. Let's quickly move on to clans here, as you can see here. Join a clan to grind towards a goal with a friend and unlock chests as rewards. Chests can hold medallions, they can hold profile skins, and they can hold, clan symbols. So make sure to have a look here. Maybe you could join like a T100 clan and get a few meds for yourself. So that kind of covers part 1. Alright, so I'd like to now discuss a few PC shortcuts for PC players, since the majority of people who are getting into BTD are now on PC. So let's actually bring up the keyboard here. Alright, so now the thing is, every number from 1 to 7 is actually used. From 1 to 4 it's all about towers. 1 is the leftmost tower, 4 is the rightmost tower, so that's pretty self-explanatory. And it's the same with powers, which is from 5 to 7. 5 is your tower boost, 6 is your balloon boost, 7 is your spikes. So that's pretty simple. So tab over here actually changes the targeting. It shifts the targeting 1 to the right, and you can use this to change the targeting of your tower. This doesn't apply to all towers, so yeah, make sure to change this individually. And now these two buttons are actually used to upgrade your towers. So the comma upgrades your left side of the tower, and the full stop upgrades the right side. Each of these you need to press for each upgrade you want to do, so that's really good for micro, or for getting quicker micro. And now we actually move on to the delete key. This can be used to sell your tower, so yeah, it's kind of simple in the sense that you delete either way. And now let's move on to the final BTD hotkey, which is escape. Escape allows you to deselect a tower, because when you click on a tower it kind of selects the upgrade paths, but then this can actually prevent you from clicking the tower abilities. So the escape key is good to know and use for when you actually try an ability micro, like ground zero micro or maybe maelstroms, so keep that in mind. Another thing for you guys to know is the fact that you will unlock all the tier 2s before the tier 3s are available to you, and you will unlock all the tier 3s before the tier 4s are available to you. Here's a tier list of solely the tier 2 towers. This list kind of measures how good a tower is by itself and how well it works with other towers. You definitely want to consider using the higher tiers in most of your loadouts. And a big thing to note is, whenever you can, on most water maps you should always use a bow. because boats are just so powerful, and yeah, just so predominant on water maps. Another thing is, you really want to farm if and where possible, because farms are just so good. You know, you could sell them if someone rushes you, you can sell them to rush, they're just so good. So ensure to use farms and boat where possible. And now let's move on to the tier 3s. Okay, so here's the new tier list of the tier 3 towers. Of course, Farm is still amazing, Wizard is still really, good, Darling, solid choice, Boomer is now really good, because Bionic is mixed with Glaive, it's honestly a really good choice. Cobra, it's pretty good. Again, Bow is still amazing. Tack, it starts to get pretty good. Mortar now can decamo, so that's great. Dart, again, very good. Yeah, unfortunately doesn't have a chug yet, but yeah, either way, again, you really want to consider trying using these towers when you have these tier 3 upgrades, because these are just really good towers, well, with the higher tiers anyway. Super Monkey I wouldn't recommend using at all, because it's so expensive, and really, it's just more cost efficient towers. Now, of course, there's the dilemma of actually unlocking these towers, and this might seem a bit intimidating at first because there's so much games to play and you might be like, oh, what do I do? Well, my recommendation personally is, of course, either farm, because farming is so good, or if you're ecoing, try not to send too many balloons past, say, around 8, because yeah, after around 8 you really want to stop sending and start saving up money. Because the best thing to do probably for like a swoop mode, yellow stadium, and maybe even white wasteland, is just send those regen rainbow balloons, like on the screen now, around 13. Because yeah, a lot of people really can't defend them. So if you're the first one to send, then you can get quick games, you can unlock towers, you can really progress. The thing to note though is you want to make sure to send grouped rainbows, not spaced rainbows. And you also might consider sending defense to rush. But yeah, make sure you're quick about this, otherwise your opponent can have time to react. Now as you progress in the game and start to get better, you're going to realise sometimes around 13 rushes aren't always the best. Say if they have a lot of defense down, they still might rush you. So once you have all the tier 4s unlocked of the towers, here's a tier list of all the best towers to defend around 13 with. Of course the top 3 has to be Boomer, has to be Tack Shooter, and it has to be a Sniper, because these are just so good. The Boomer of course has the turbocharge ability, which once used, you know, it's pretty cheap, cost effective, and it cleans up, especially under boost. It will hit camos as well. Then there's the Tack Shooter, which has the Maelstrom ability, again pretty cheap, but the downside is it doesn't hit camos, though it doesn't need a boost to defend regular rainbows. And there's the Sniper, which he's probably not the most complex one, but has the highest potential, since if you have the 5.0 upgrade, as well as, you know, set this to strong and have semi-auto, you can pretty much defend any all-out under boost. But again, there's the issue of it being quite costly, and that. But make sure to try and use these in your loadout for when you have all the tier 4s unlocked. And the final tier list we move on to today is, of course, the tier 4 tower tier list, which is now, of course, measuring that tower's potential by itself as well as its compatibility with other towers. So, of course, the best are farms, because farms are good with everything, and especially in the higher tiers, it can really be a game changer. Bow, of course, really predominant on water maps. I mean, it is map locked, but if it's a water map, there's no reason not to use Bow. It's so good, especially with the bow pool and all that. Dart, also amazing, is the Juggernaut, which can hit leads, can hit camos. Dart is really good versus Moabs. Overall, amazing tower and so many possible combinations. Then I'll quickly brush through the A tier, which is the Mortar, amazing signal flare. There's of course the big one, which is so good. Wizard, which can just do really well early game, not so well mid game, but amazing late game as well. Engineer, which is so good in combination with say the Ninja or something. Cobra again, and a really solid tower choice. Pairs well with Mortar and Tack. And Boomer again, really good with the boats. It's amazing with Dartling for the earlier stuff, and it's just a really good solid choice. Okay, now that you have all the tier 4s, you might want to start running some commonly used strategies or some really good strategies. Some of the most common and the best ones are definitely both on Boomer, which should be used on all water maps, with only a few exceptions, but I'll go over those in a second. Yeah, the way you want to play this is definitely start with a boat, place a Boomer for lead detection, yeah, of course turbocharge if they all out you, buy a cannon ship for camo lead, buy a destroyer for like mid rounds if needed, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a very simple strategy to use, but very effective as well. And for the majority of land maps, again the majority, I will go over the exceptions in a second, I would recommend that you guys go with Dart, Farm, Boomer. because Dart is a really solid tower choice. It can defend pretty much a few, even group BFBs with the Fan Club, which a lot of other early game strats can't do. So yeah, I recommend Dart farm Boomer a lot, because Boomer, you know, is really good for all out, of course. Dart is a really good solid starting tower, so start with the Dart, farm where possible, you'll kind of get a feel for it, and then of course just turbocharge any all outs. And now for the exceptions. Here are the maps that you actually don't want to go the strategies I recommended on, but instead you want to go Dartling, farm, Boomer, because Dartling is really good for early gamers, especially if you micro it. You can really reduce the leaks, you know, you can farm well or eco well. So yeah, for these maps you want to go Dartling, farm, Boomer, because again, you know, Dartling gives you really high precision, it allows you to greed a lot, and the Boomer of course easy for all outs. You can anti-stall, you could do so much with it, so definitely for these maps, ensure that you guys are on Dartling, farm, Boomer. Right, so now let's talk about what you're actually meant to do in the game. So of course the objective kind of is, or the mentality how you should think about BTD is, you want to get the most money while conserving lives. Though many plays include risking or sacrificing a few lives in order to increase the amount of money you have. Whether you allow a few balloons to pass through so you don't have to buy defense, which allows you to eco more, like send more balloons, or whether it allows you to farm harder. Now, of course, there's two ways to play BTD, being farming and there's ecoing. Both of them are income sources, and they both have the advantages and disadvantages. The thing about a banana farm is it's a very effective and reliable source of income, which can also be resold at a later time, you know, in case of all outs or rushes or anything of the sort. But the disadvantage that comes with it is the fact that, you know, it takes up a slot, which means you can have one less tower. Now that might not sound all that drastic, but one tower can really make a difference, whether it's an extra stall tower, so we can have an extra 50% stall, which is game breaking at times, or even like an insurance tower, say Boomer, if you go on some late game towers. So yeah, there's kind of a risk, but I would of course recommend the majority of players to play banana farms, because ecoing can be quite difficult. Now the thing about the farming is, you need to kind of find a balance between farming and rushing, and it's really hard to do so at times. Also greeding, of course, you can kind of balance all three of these factors. Pretty much, you need to kind of understand what comes in the next following few rounds, what they could send at you. So if it's like round 10, you know, you might want to start saving up for round 13, because round 13 is when rainbows come, and they can get, you know, kind of all out you at that point in time. So a few rounds to look out for are, let's start with round 8, because that's when yellows come. So if you're very low on defense, they can definitely punish you by sending these. So ensure that you have a bit of spare money or a lot of good defense placed for round 8. Then there's also round 10, which is when leads come, so ensure that your strategy has some form of lead detection, as well as, maybe cheap lead detection like a wizard or a sniper. Then there's also round 13 to look out for, because that's when rainbows come along, and it's a very common round for people to all out with regen rainbows. Then there is there's also round 18 to watch out for, because that's when mobs can start to be sent, like the big, blue balloons. They have 100 HP and they release 4 ceramics when being popped. Then there's also round 20, because that's when BFBs can be sent, or fast cooldown Moabs. Because when you send a Moab, there's a 10-second cooldown before you can send another one. These are the round 18 ones. But the round 20 ones you can send, and then you can send another one after like a second. So yeah, there's very fast cooldown on that. Round 22, ZMGs can be sent, which are the big green balloons. And also fast cooldown BFBs. And round 24 is when fast cooldown ZMGs can come along. So be careful of those rounds. Now, as you can see here, there is this is how you get money, or this is like a show of what your money is. So, that little transparent white thing, it shows you how much money you currently have. That's how much money you have on hand. Not in farms, but on hand. And that green thing is your eco, or your economy. And that's how much money you make per every 6 seconds, because that's how eco works in this game. You can send balloons to increase your eco, but the thing about doing that is, of course, you spend the money on the balloons, which means it takes a few rounds to pay off. So while ecoing is very good because it increases, you know, what you can actually buy or the amount of stuff that you could do, it also puts you at a money deficit, which means you kind of want to save up a bit of money. So never really max eco initially, yeah, just in case they rush you, so you know you actually have the defense for this. Then there's also the boosts. The boosts are quite interesting. You start off with the Tau boost, the balloon boost, and the spikes. So each spike has 20 spikes on, yeah, well, the initial ones anyway. Of course, they move up as you go along, but the initial one have 20 spikes, which basically means it equates to 20 lives. This is a good way to maybe use emergency lead pop and power, since they do pop leads. This is good for, I guess, lives, because again, these are equivalent to 20 lives. So if you have 3 of them, they're equivalent to 60 lives. You can always place them in the back of the map, and you know, prevent the leaks. And of course, you can use them to greed. And what I mean by greeding is you can use them to have insufficient defense, which allows you to either, you know, send them more balloons or buy more farms for yourself. So yeah, you kind of want to find a balance with that though. So you kind of just get a sense as to what will kill you, what will not. Alright, this is kind of just the introduction to BTD. Of course, there's a lot more complex aspects among other features. And just other tips and tricks which you can learn from it playing or from watching other YouTubers such as Asian Sensation or Botrix, both really great players and great YouTubers, so make sure to check them out. But I know this guy doesn't really cover everything that there is to know. So yeah, if you guys want me to, I will make part 2, you know, more in depth. So just let me know, and thanks for watching. Just before I end this video, I'd like to give special thanks to Zigzag Power, Ace Megalodon, and Duck for peer reviewing and helping me on this video.